We Scots, we can't go back to our ancestral land of Scotland and claim free land or rights. We can't do that there because of numerous battles in history. I can't even get a British passport even though my ancestral rights are British. I am, after all, a Kiwi. All of us are. About a month ago I saw a YouTube video of Poe, the incredible song that was number one in the 80s, and someone had put in the comments, New Zealand, where everyone is your cousin and fish and chips is the finest cuisine. And it brought back close to tears those memories, that New Zealand I once knew and the New Zealand that I grew up in. This Treaty of Waitangi has become a tiresome, outdated, worn and tattered document from 182 years ago. Yep, nearly 10 generations ago, and its relevance is long since gone. We, that is all of us, including the activist Maori, who are so muddled as to our history, live in a completely different world now, and instead of 2 races living in this country, there are perhaps as many as 100. We all have to remember there was a time when we cared so little about that treaty document that it was actually lost and then found water damaged. It doesn't really matter, actually. All the people who wrote it and signed it are dead and gone at least 160 years ago. It was something to serve their purpose in 1840 and a way to resolve differences and bring peace and security out of the vast cultural differences between one of the most advanced societies on the planet at that time and one of the least advanced. This battered and outmoded piece of parchment is an anachronism. It is the cause of all the worst divisions in New Zealand society and has been interpreted and reinterpreted by so many people of debatable integrity over the many, many years and in so many ways. That is, the sheer simplicity of it has been turned into a great national conundrum. The more you study how this document has been manipulated, written, rewritten and stuffed around with, it does not take long for even the most dim-witted amongst us to see the path of stupidity that this treaty is leading us. It seems all dimwits have woken up except those of Maoridom who can't or won't own up to the actual truth. Surely it's time to put this treaty thing in a glass case, maybe give it a blessing, and then learn to ignore it. But no matter how New Zealand was such a great place to be, we now have the arrogance of a Stone Age tribal society with no written language, no wheel, no bow and arrow, no organised government living in right of conquest, cannibalism, slavery and making extinct many species in their utopia. Then today's mainstream media want us to believe that the most powerful empire in the world at that time would enter into a partnership with such a primitive people. Maybe pink elephants will dance around a maypole at midnight when we sensibly educate New Zealanders going to say enough of this racist crap and tell these treatyists and that Ardern Maori caucus where to firmly stick their Aotearoa. Anyone who claims to be a Kiwi wants no part of this bunch of extreme left-wing racist ideologues to be in charge. But don't overlook we could end up with a guy with no clear principles or policy who will bend to whatever pressure is applied. Mind you, the Nats will like to vote for that dropkick even if its more capable person was available for their vote. Whatever happened, I believe we as a nation are doomed unless we again sense and work together to rid ourselves of this combined gaggle of all the political vile scumbags we now see in local as well as national governments. Don't ever forget Luxton's very best political mate is the main reason for our present racist predicament. That gutless, lying slimeball key was the choice that lasted for 9 years, the choice in the nets of 9 years of the uninformed and the politically vacant-minded nets. It was their scumbag key that was in the dark of the night agreed for Sharples and his charlatans to go to New York and sign the UN Indigenous Charter. The trouble is only a few gnats and hovers. The rest of the clowns still believe that John Key was a great guy, so they will, without question, support Dropkick Luxton, which means nothing will change from what we have today with this current racist, separatist Ardern government. God help you. God help me. In fact, God help all of us honest folk, and God help New Zealand. Or are we going to allow it to become New Zimbabwe?